Hello. I've just had a most entertaining English lesson. There's an exam called IELTS, which many foreign students take to prove that their English is good. And one of my students is a Russian lad, and he's just escaped from Russia, and he's about to do his speaking test tomorrow. And we were looking at one of the possible tests, and I don't think we've even talked about the IELTS test for a good year or so. So the fact that he's doing this test tomorrow is all a little bit hurried. His English is excellent, and this is a bureaucratic necessity. Excuse me. So we were looking at the sort of topics that he might have to answer, and the topics are supposed to be non-political. So listen to this. Which part of the country do most people live in? His answer was, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Luhansk, Donetsk. Tell me about the main industries there. Nuclear power, shooting. How easy is it to travel around your country in a military vehicle? Has your country changed much since you were a child? Well, the president is the same, but he's become monstrous, like Shrek in reverse. Of course, the president is not as green as the leader of the opposition, Mr. Navalny, who had his face painted green. And then we go on. Describe a well-known person you admire. And at this point, he came out with a little song which was invented by a schoolboy in Russia and then taken up by the rest of society. It's extraordinary. Vladimir Putin, Molodits, politic leader, Iboritz. It's just extraordinarily indulgent. And I sing that, by the way, with deep irony. And then we go on. What kind of people become famous these days? Dictators. Is this different from the kind of achievement that made people famous in the past? Well, not if they're Hitler. In what way? No, there is no way. It's tyranny. How do you think people will become famous in the future? Nuclear war? It was quite a hilarious lesson. So I am sharing this with you, but it's a tinge with a certain amount of irony and a certain amount of gallows humour. But we looked at so many different speaking tests, and all of them are infused with this attempt to try and be non-political, and every single one fails. Because in the end, if you're an exile from your country, everything is political. Everything is political. And it's not possible to escape politics. And that, in the end, is a really important lesson for the rest of us. I come across so many people who say, oh, I'm not political. What utter rot. When you go back to the meaning of the word politics, it means city, polis. It comes from the Greek word for city. And if we wish to live together, if we wish to live a civilized life, then we are all involved in politics. And there's a wonderful story by about the Mullah Nasruddin in Turkey. And the Mullah Nasruddin is trying to, he's putting yogurt into a lake, and his friend comes up to him and says, Oi, Hodja, what are you putting yogurt in that lake for? You can't possibly turn the whole lake into yogurt. And the Mullah Nasruddin turns around and says, Ya tutasa, you can try. And you don't get anywhere without trying. So giving up at this stage is ridiculous. We just have to keep trying, and we have to keep humorous, and we have to deal with reality as we find it. So when we look at the Conservative Party conference, we can't just despair. We have to deal with reality as we find it. We have to keep trying. We have to tighten our belt and just get on with it. In every walk of life. You know, the other day I did this little song about I never met a man I didn't like. It's quite true. I've never met anyone I don't like, but there are many people that I know that I'm never going to speak to again. Their decision or mine. It doesn't mean I don't like them any the less. It just means I've decided that for the time being, it's better to keep away. It's just better to keep away. And yeah, I will remember the pleasant times in the past. But at heart, I keep trying. Because that's the way to live. And I keep trying with as much humour as it is possible to generate. Because that is also the way to live. And I enjoy my students enormously. Because, every time I think I'm about to despair, they come up with these amazingly naughty lessons where they undermine every sense of propriety, every sense of order, and they reveal the humanity that in the end matters. And I try desperately to avoid and to stop teaching, and I've never managed it. Never. Never in 40 odd years have I quite managed to stop teaching. And that, I think, is the reason.